The Marion County prosecutor was emotional as he announced the man accused of killing Officer Perry Wren would face a death penalty.
Major Davis Jr. is now accused of opening fire on Officer Wren in a shootout that left Davis badly wounded. But choosing to go after the death sentence could also mean a decade or even longer battle for the victim's family.
It's not an easy decision, and today Eyewitness News reporter Rich Van Wyk talked with two officers' families faced with that decision and taking two different paths. Rich?
Well, two families of two police officers killed in the line of duty shared their emotions with us. Each had to answer the death penalty question for themselves. They came up with entirely different answers. Both agreed, though, that getting to those answers involved some of the toughest decisions they've ever had to make in their life.
Because any parent does, they want their children's life to mean something.
And 3 years ago, when Thomas Hardy took the life of Officer David Moore, Spencer and Joanne Moore decided prosecutors should seek the death penalty. Hate, he says, was never a consideration.
Being in a law enforcement family, we felt it was necessary to send a message to anyone who would want to do harm to a police officer that there is an ultimate consequence.
But when Hardy wrote the Moores a letter asking for forgiveness, mercy, and life in prison without parole, the family trusted their faith and agreed.
It wasn't a relief in the sense of I'm not killing somebody or I'm not going to be involved in it. It was a relief in the sense that I wasn't going to put my own personal family back through all of this.
A judicial ordeal Molly Winters endured for almost 17 years.
I had no clue what I was in for.
Molly was a young mother in 1990 when her husband, Muncie police officer Greg Winters, was murdered in the front seat of his patrol car. Back then, life without parole was not an option. If not sentenced to death, killer Michael Lambert could have been free in 30 years.
Citizens of Indiana needed to know that if I take the life of an officer, if I make that choice, then I have to be willing to give up my life.
Winters gave up much of her life, attending the trial and more than a decade of appeals and court hearings.
It wasn't about Officer Greg William Winters being killed in the line of duty. It was what this perpetrator deserves and what can we do to make life better for this perpetrator while he's sitting on death row.
Lambert was put to death more than 16 years after the killing. Winters and family members were inside the prison at the time of the execution. She says it was a relief.
No more court dates, that finally Greg can rest at peace because justice was served and my children and I can have a little peace about us.
Two different families facing similar tragic circumstances took two different paths to what appears to be the same peace. Neither objects or regrets the decisions they've made. Reporting live, Rich Van Wyk, Channel 13, Eyewitness News.
All right, thank you, Rich.